The second national semifinal had Georgia Tech from the ACC challenging UNLV from the Big West.
Take your position, gentlemen. Door's about to open.
What both Georgia Tech and UNLV had been doing all year was running. And even though each team knew what it had to do defensively to win, in the game's early going, the fans were treated to the offensive show they had all come to see. With the pregame talk behind them, the two teams simply decided to do what they do best, run.
Way down in the paint, lays it up and in. Nice move by Oliver.
That's where he's at his best, taking the ball to the
Long
basket.
pass to Hunt, drives under, open. 6-1.5, but he really rammed it in there. 30 all. Long three, good by Scott at the other end.
Up and down the court they went. And with each team scoring almost at will, both Jerry Tarkanian and Bobby Crimmins could not have been all that pleased with their team's defenses. Offense, though, was another story. Throughout the first half, both teams shot nearly 70% from the floor. The Rebels were led by Larry Johnson. While to Tarkanian's dismay, Tech was able to control the game's tempo, thanks to freshman guard Kenny Anderson.
I love running, and I'm a point guard, so when I get the ball, I'm running. And I know Dennis Scott and Brian Oliver, they love running. So offensively, we just have to play Georgia Tech style of basketball, which we've been doing all year, running type of game. And then, you know, we can slow it up at times, too, but we want to keep our running game going.
Keeping a running game going in Denver's thin air meant plenty of substitutions for both teams. And when UNLV went to its bench midway through the first half, UNLV paid the price. The pace was exhausting. Two teams with similar styles and similar personnel going at each other for 20 minutes up and down the full 94 feet of the court. It was simply exhilarating. The game had turned into the scoring explosion everyone had expected. But because both teams were playing so well offensively, neither UNLV nor Georgia Tech was able to pull away. And for nearly all of the first half, the two teams stayed within 3 points of each other. Just as it had wanted to, UNLV was able to go inside to its center, David Butler. Then, too, UNLV would not be called the Runnin' Rebels if they were standing still. Toward the end of the first half, Georgia Tech slowly began to pull away. The key man was Dennis Scott, who finished the first half with 4 three-pointers on his way to 20 points in the first 20 minutes.
Here's to Scott, long three. Yes.
A long three that was. Woo.
He's still moving. He's still moving. Pulls up 12-footer. Got it.
He is red hot, too.
Kenny Anderson's basket just before the half left UNLV down 7. But the Rebels still weren't worried, although they hadn't trailed by that much all tournament long. UNLV came out of the locker room intent on following its plan. The result was a patented Rebel run.
During the first half, the altitude bothered us a little bit, but during the second half when we came out, the coach told us that they was beating us back, and we the Runnin' Rebels, we shouldn't have been getting beat back, so we decided to pick up the defense another notch and got our running game going, and, you know, that was the turning point in the game in the second half.
Much of the credit for the Rebels' post-halftime spurt went to Stacey Augmon and the superb defensive job he performed on Dennis Scott.
It's hard, you know. The first minute, you're looking for your second win, and your throat is burning. It's really burning. But then after a while, you kind of get used to it, you know. I saw a little fatigue setting on Scott, and I really tried to get into him and bother him. You know, I didn't say too much to him, but I saw it in his eyes that he was very tired, and I jumped right into him.
Augmon not only jumped right into Scott, he also jumped right over Georgia Tech.
no matter the altitude, we're going to get out there and run. And I know we're all going to play hard. You know, that's automatic, you know, when we step on the court, that we're going to go out and play hard defense.
The Rebels' hard work paid off at the beginning of the second half, and by the time Anderson Hunt hit his third three-pointer of the game, they had outscored Tech 10-1. Bobby Crimmins had seen his team's halftime lead evaporate, and now with UNLV in the lead, he knew exactly what Georgia Tech had to do.
It's time for us to put together our best game. You know, we might be running out of luck. We've got to put together a great performance by everybody.
Unfortunately for Crimmins, Tech's luck was about to run out. With 11 minutes left, Kenny Anderson picked up his third foul of the second half. It was his fourth of the contest. It could not have come at a worse time. After controlling Georgia Tech's offense, the brilliant freshman point guard would have to leave the game. UNLV tried to take advantage of Georgia Tech's predicament right away. With Anderson out of the lineup, the Rebels felt confident they could open up the court and run right by the Yellow Jackets. For a while, Tech responded to the challenge. But soon, with Anderson on the bench, UNLV began to stretch its lead.
Baseline, whips it outside. Hunt goes. Anthony for a three. Yes.
Without its quarterback to direct the attack, Georgia Tech began to force its shots, and the Rebels took advantage. With just under 7 minutes left, UNLV was up by 7, and then Larry Johnson committed his fifth foul. Sensing that this might be his last opportunity, Crimmins went straight to Anderson, and Kenny once again showed why, in this game, he was the one player Georgia Tech could not afford to lose. The game had reached its critical point. Georgia Tech had closed to within a couple of baskets, and the next team that could put together a run would likely win it. For a while, it looked like Georgia Tech would be that team. But after Tarkanian steadied the Rebels, Anderson Hunt hit his fifth three-pointer of the game to give UNLV a 5-point lead. Georgia Tech managed to hang in until the end. But ultimately, UNLV's relentless defensive pressure had stung the Yellow Jackets. Appropriately enough, the last basket of the game came off a UNLV fast break.
.90-81 as he makes it. It's all over. Just the shouting. Here's a blocked pass. Goes inside. Put up. No good. And the game is over. And as the shot was missed, it sends UNLV into the national championship game against Duke on Monday night as Nevada, Las Vegas defeats Georgia Tech.